What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake us.
It's Tuesday. You know what that means. Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Wrestling with Fans podcast. This is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans from a fan's perspective. My name is Kyle, and welcome to episode 144. The almighty era is upon us. That's right, guys. We have a brand new WWE Champion. Last night on Raw, Bobby Lashley defeated The Miz to capture his very first WWE Championship. We're going to talk about Raw. We're going to break it all down. But before we do, let me just remind everybody, Facebook.com/Wrestling with Fans. Hulk smash that like button to keep up to date with everything we do here on the Wrestling with Fans podcast. If you're watching us live, you already know about it. Just give the video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of Raw last night. If you aren't watching live, if you're listening to the audio version, join us live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on the Wrestling with Fans YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com. Search Wrestling with Fans podcast, click the blue logo, and then click that subscribe button. You can click the little bell icon, set notifications to always if you want to be notified anytime there's a new video posted or anytime I am live here on the YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Wrestling with Fans. Follow us on Instagram. Just search Wrestling with Fans. Been posting some cool pictures over there. I've got some cool ideas. Gonna make some posts here soon with some cool fake photography that I've been working on. And of course, you can download or stream this show at any time on our website, wrestlingwithfans.com. New audio shows are posted every single Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Or you can take us on the go and download us to your favorite podcast listening device. You can find us wherever you get your podcast fix. Just search for Wrestling with Fans podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and on Stitcher. We also live stream 4 nights a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern for Raw, Dynamite, NXT, and SmackDown, respectively, on their nights. And as I've already said, Tuesdays, around 8 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube channel for the live recording of the Wrestling with Fans podcast. What is up, Chris? Chris is in the chat. What is good, my man? So let's talk Raw. Before we talk about it, let's talk about the numbers. The viewership, unfortunately, did drop, not by a large margin, but a small. Last week's post-Elimination Chamber episode of Raw averaged 1.89 million viewers. And per F4W Online's Brian Alvarez, last night's Raw averaged 1.88 million for the 3-hour show. So a slight ratings drop of about 10,000 viewers. Probably not the numbers Vince and company wanted to see. They started off Raw with Drew McIntyre. We'll break down all of Raw because it's worth talking about this week, sort of. But they played up the night-long storyline of The Miz trying to get out of his match with Bobby Lashley. And eventually we did get that match in the main event. But there's a couple other news stories we can chat about here before we get into all that good stuff. One of which I find quite interesting. Ringside News is reporting that Vince McMahon is reportedly hiding his WrestleMania plans from talent. This was posted back on February 27th. I mentioned it briefly last night on the Raw preview show. It says here, only 2 matches have been announced for WWE WrestleMania 37, and not much is known about the plans for the rest of the card. It turns out that even the wrestlers are in the dark on what Vince McMahon has planned for the show because things are being kept a secret more so than in previous years. Ringside News is reporting that a memo was sent out to producers to tell them not to share creative details with talent. They were also told that Vince McMahon or Bruce Pritchard must be notified before any information is shared with one of the talent. They also add this policy essentially eliminated feedback from talent in regards to their angles. Talent feedback was previously considered during the creative process, but is no longer the case. Basically, this is being done to avoid leaks about the WrestleMania card and plans for the show. A WWE source stated that, quote, very few talents know where they're headed for WrestleMania, unquote. This edict is said to have a lot of talent on edge and that the work environment is at an all-time low. So it seems, that Vince and company are trying to keep everyone in the dark. They don't want things to leak. It was reported, I saw it the other day, that Vince was reportedly furious that the planned Edge versus Roman Reigns match for WrestleMania leaked ahead of time before the actual announcement was made. So now he's just going to go and keep everybody in the dark, and it's going to be on a need to know basis. And to be honest, I think that's pretty lame. As it said in the article, there's a time when talent did have creative input on what their storylines might be. So they can kind of get an idea of where things are going, and they can offer their feedback as to what, a direction that things could go. But apparently that is no longer the case, as Vince wants to keep everybody in the dark on what's going on. So that's, I don't know how well that's going to work, but time will tell, and we'll guess we'll kind of see where things go for WrestleMania this year. As of now, as of tonight, as I'm recording this, there are only 2 matches, and it's the Royal Rumble winners, Edge challenging Roman Reigns for the Blue Universal title, and Bianca Belair will challenge Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I've kind of speculated and rumored some things that we could see, like now that The Miz is no longer champion, we can see that rumored Miz and Damien Priest versus, or Miz and Morrison versus Damien Priest and Bad Bunny. I'm sorry. Miz and Morrison versus Priest and Bad Bunny, which seemed to be the direction they were going before Miz captured the WWE Championship. So it seems like that could possibly be back on. And I'll speculate a bit more on some of the Raw stuff as we run down the Raw card here in a few minutes. The WWE Network is scheduled to move over to Peacock. I believe it's March 14th. And they have also released a list of the upcoming shows that are coming to the network this March. Now, for documentaries, it is a full slate of documentaries. On March 7th, it's Goldberg at 54, and a documentary entitled Heaven. I don't see any other details. Now, no other dates for these other documentaries, but we have a WWE Chronicle on Damien Priest. I'm guessing that's probably going to be on his Royal Rumble debut and Raw debut, his call up to the main roster. One entitled Meeting Stone Cold. The Birth of the Stunner, Now, with these both being based on Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm guessing that they will probably premiere in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight, March 16th, 316 day. That is my guess. And then we also have a day of WWE Elimination Chamber 2021. And now this says Peacock and WWE Network, so this will probably come after the transition. And finally, the WWE Icons episode on the Glamazon Beth Phoenix. Now, if you have not had the chance to check out the Icons show on Yokozuna, as soon as you're finished watching this live stream, as soon as you're finished listening to this podcast, pull up the WWE Network and watch it. It was just one of the best produced documentaries that the WWE has ever done. It gives you a really good look at Rodney Anoa'i, the man he was as Yokozuna and the man behind the gimmick. Such an awesome documentary. Of course, it has a very sad ending, but the journey there is a great one. So I highly recommend that if you have not seen the Yokozuna episode. Also have a couple original series. Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions with special guest Randy Orton. If you haven't checked out the Broken Skull Sessions with Sasha Banks on the network, again, that is highly recommended. I really enjoyed that interview. All of the Broken Skull Sessions have been really excellent so far on the network. Another original series, the 50 Greatest Women. No premiere date on that. No premiere date on the Randy Orton Broken Skull Sessions. I'm going to predict that that's probably going to come on the Sunday along with Fastlane. They usually like to premiere the Broken Skull Sessions the same night as a pay-per-view. Another one here, WWE Icons Revisited on Beth Phoenix. And Total Bellas Season 6. So I have a couple best ofs. Best of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Again, I'm guessing that'll probably come around 316. Chris says, I'm pumped about to save $5 a month on the network. I'm about to save $9.99 a month on the network. We have Peacock through Xfinity. You may too. If you have Xfinity, I believe your Peacock is free. So you'll be able to get the free version of the network. Totally. I'm not sure if you can upgrade for the $5 to get that premium without the ads. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I have Peacock for free with my Xfinity package. So I get to save $9.99 a month, which is great. I can put that towards something else. And also best of WrestleMania in the 2010s. Should be pretty good. And then 2 in-ring things are listed here. Classic content, 10 more episodes of WCW Saturday Night. That was my first introduction to the WCW product. So yeah, you do too. So you'll just save those $5. So you basically get the network for free, which is even better. So again, for all you Xfinity, if you have the Xfinity cable package, you probably have Peacock, the access to the Peacock network for free. So you probably basically can cancel your $9.99 and watch for free. Now, again, I believe the standard edition of the network features through Peacock is ad supported, but I think you can pay a premium of $9.99, the original network price, and it's ad free. I'm not sure how that's going to work if you get your Peacock for free, but I'm sure in the next couple weeks we'll find out. We were promised more information on the transition to the Peacock network, and we really haven't gotten much, at least that I've seen, as far as what all that's going to entail, how the transition works, if your account automatically transitions over, if you have to cancel your network for those that get Peacock for free or already have Peacock. There's not a lot of details. I really hope in the next week or so we do get more details on this transition. And of course, we do get Fastlane 2021. And I believe, let me look up the date. Fastlane 2021 comes on March 21st. So I believe the transition to Peacock is on the 14th, and then we'll get Fastlane on the 21st. So there'll be a week, I guess, for them to kind of iron out all the details. But that is your full list of everything coming to the WWE Network and Peacock in the month of March. And finally, big news story here. WWE reportedly moving NXT to Tuesdays amid ratings battle with AEW. This is an article from Bleacher Report published today, March 2nd. WWE may be moving NXT off Wednesday nights, thus ending the show's weekly ratings battle with All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. Citing a, quote, very reliable source, the Mcmahon Pro Wrestling Podcast reported NXT could be shifting to Tuesday nights as early as April 13. Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Newsletter addressed the post on Twitter. In a tweet, he says, this was definitely a topic of discussion in WWE quarters on 2/24, but at least at this point, it was not final. Chris adds in, use the save money on New Japan World for $5 or Impact Plus for early years. There you go. Problem solved. Problem solved, guys. Chris has solved the problem. If you get Peacock for free, cancel your network, put that towards New Japan World or Impact Plus. I actually have thought about ordering Impact Plus, at least doing the trial, just to watch some of the old like X Division stuff, some of the X Division Cup, Team Canada versus like Team Japan versus Team US versus Team Mexico. Those were some of like the craziest matches. AJ Styles and Samoa Joe in the early years. A lot of AEW guys got their start there. A lot of WWE guys got their start there. Bobby Roode, Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels. A lot of those guys who are huge now all started in those early days of TNA Impact. Back to the article. WWE first announced in August 2019 it was going to air NXT every Wednesday night for 2 hours on USA Network. Many believe the decision was made with AEW in mind since the promotion had already staked out Wednesday nights, which began on October 2nd. Despite NXT having already built a following from its days on WWE Network, it has regularly finished lower in the cable ratings behind Dynamite. Not even the return of stars such as Charlotte Flair and Finn Balor could provide a regular momentum for NXT. In January, Dave Meltzer reported NXT's TV contract is due to run out in October, and putting the show on another night may be less a sign of defeat and more a case of getting squeezed out of the time slot. NBC is planning to shut down NBC Sports Network, with live events transitioning over to the USA Network. Meltzer speculated NBC may want to open up a Wednesday night viewing window for NHL games since Wednesday night hockey has been an NBCSN staple. I talked about this back in the fall when the sale when NBC announced they were shutting down NBC Sports Network and said that this could have big impact on WWE. Wednesday night hockey is a major thing. I'll watch it. I'm a huge Pittsburgh Penguins fan, so when the Penguins are on, I'm watching, even over NXT and Dynamite. Hate to say it, but I do. It's hockey. Hockey is life, at least for me. So with NBC Sports Network shutting down, they may decide to put the hockey games on Wednesday night, which would, obviously counter anything WWE wants to do with NXT. And if their contract runs out in October, oddly enough, NBC Sports Network has been said to be shutting down by the end of the year. So WWE may either, switch another night on USA Network, maybe shop it around to another network on a different night. It seems like anytime they sell TV rights, the money just goes through the roof. We've talked about on the show over the last couple of years, the USA deal, the Fox deal, and now the deal with Peacock. So WWE's TV rights, say what you will about them, about their product, but it's guaranteed content 52 weeks a year, and that is a big thing that a lot of networks are looking for. Now, if it just so happens that NXT does move to Tuesday nights, then we may need to move the night of the podcast. I've already thought about moving the night of the podcast just to try to encompass more wrestling. Doing it on Tuesdays is kind of difficult sometimes because it's right after Raw. It's 6 days before, after the last Dynamite at NXT. It's days before and days after SmackDown. It's in a weird position. So we may visit that, excuse me, at some point down the line. I'm trying to see if there's any other news stories here. Just scrolling through my notes to see if anything else on here. All right, so let's talk about the big elephant in the room. Maybe not really elephant in the room, but the big, the almighty elephant in the room, I guess. Bobby Lashley is now your new WWE Champion. And Raw last night was interesting. It was quite interesting. Actually, you know what? Before we dive into Raw, we're about 25 minutes into the show here, give or take. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to play a video clip from YouTube. This video just posted last night after the Raw preview stream. And Chris, if you're still in here, shout out to you for pulling this guy for me. I didn't even give you a shout out in the video, but this is my Darby Allin figure unboxing. Again, it was posted to YouTube last night, right after the Raw preview show. So this would be a chance for you to check it out. If you're listening to the audio version of the show, in the podcast notes, there's a link to the YouTube channel. Click on that. Click subscribe. We were at 41 subscribers. We didn't quite make the goal of 50 in February, so we've extended it to March. I have an entire month to pick up 9 subscribers. So if you're listening to the audio version of the show, click the link in the show notes to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe if you would, please. We are trying to grind subscribers here. I love doing the live streams, love making videos, and I would love you to join me on YouTube just like you've joined me in the podcast. So let's take a look at this video real quick. See you back here in just a few minutes.
What is good, YouTube? Kyle here from Wrestling with Fans, back with another figure unboxing video. And as you can see, we have Darby Allin, AEW Unrivaled Series 3. This is not the chase, but I was super happy to get this figure. Shout out to my friend Chris for finding him in the wild and hooking me up. Appreciate you finding this for me. He found some more Series 3, but he already had Darby. So we hooked your boy up. So now we got Darby in the collection. Let's take a look at the packaging here. The Unrivaled box is just amazing. The brick with the gold. The picture right there. AEW on this side. AEW with Darby's picture. He is number 22 in the Unrivaled collection. Take a look at the back here. This is from Fyter Fest, June 29, 2019, Daytona Beach, Florida. You can see who else is in this wave. You got Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, Mr. Pockets himself, Orange Cassidy. Love that figure. One of my favorite figures in my entire collection. Riho and Pac are also in Series 3. But you know how we do here on the channel, guys. We like to keep them loose. Figures, that is. So let's crack this bad boy open. Let's let it breathe. Let's take a closer look at Mr. Darby Allin. And just like that, there we have it, guys. Darby Allin out of the plastic prison. Let's look at the accessories. He does come with a skateboard. Does have his logo there on it, Darby Allin. It's not quite tech deck. I mean, I could try to do some cool tech deck stuff here, but I was never into tech decks. I'm sure some of you guys out there that were into tech decks can probably do some sick tricks with a skateboard. I am not one of those people. But let's take a closer look at the figure. Let's pop. Oh, and he's got the arm condoms. He's about to go out on the farm and impregnate a cow or a horse. You know, for all of the Series 2 figures I got, none of them had the arm condoms on, but this is a couple now that I've unboxed recently that do have them. Now I'll pop this off, get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. Let's get this one off. Let's see, that one came off much easier. And that's not cool. It's, as you can see here, that's not good. But we'll make it work. I can put a little something in there to keep it in. But let's take a closer look. Darby Allin here. The face scan is really good. They really captured his likeness. Got the skeleton painting there on his, that would be his left side. If your right side as you're watching the video. Pretty cool. It's got his chest tattoo right there. Let's get a closer look at it. Look at his outfit here. He does have the shorts with the leggings on underneath. It is all just kind of molded on there, one piece, which is still pretty cool. Got the Doc Martin-esque boots on. Got the great articulation that comes with these figures. The foot articulation, does have the ankle pivot. He does have an ankle twist here. Double jointed knees. I don't think he has thigh rotation. This Darby does not have, oh, nope, there it is. I thought it was at the shorts line, but it's just above it. Again, the full range of motion in the arms, the double jointed elbows, which is great. And again, I talk about it all the time. I love just the full articulation in the wrist, which is amazing. Fortunately, this hand, I might have to, maybe I'll try heating him up and maybe squeeze it in there, get it to stay a little better. The tape hands, all that good stuff. Take a look at his jacket. It's got the spray paint on it, you know, the hearts and the other little symbols there. It's like a deer. Deer. Some other little things on there. Pretty cool. It's got the hood. Again, I say it in every video, I prefer soft goods, but you know, these Jazzwares rubber jackets are very soft. They're very pliable, I think is the correct term. Which makes them a little easier. Some of the ones that come on the Mattel Elites are really thick and stiff, and it makes it hard to take the jackets on and off sometimes. But super cool figure. You can probably just pose him there. Standing with the skateboard. Maybe. I'll figure it out here eventually, but Darby Allin, guys, awesome figure. Alright guys, there you have it. Darby Allin, AEW Unrivaled Series Collection, Wave 3, Series 3, whatever they want to call it. He is in the collection now. If you enjoyed this figure unboxing and review, consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content from Wrestling with Fans, click that subscribe button and enable notifications to be notified anytime a new video goes up or anytime we go live here on the channel. Thank you all for watching. Once again, my name is Kyle. This is Wrestling with Fans, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
What's up, guys? All right, and we are back in here live. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Again, thanks, Chris. I don't know if you're still in here. All right. So let's talk Monday Night Raw, guys. Let's break down Raw real quick. Raw was an interesting show. It was quite an interesting show. It opened with Drew McIntyre cutting a pretty good promo, saying he's going to keep his eye out on the winner of Miz and Lashley later. And once the winner of that match at WrestleMania, Miz comes out, gets the fancy introduction. MVP then interrupts, saying at the top of the hour, Bobby Lashley is going to get that title shot. So we're going to get that at the top of the second hour. And then it ends up leading into the first match of the night. Drew McIntyre taking on the Celtic Warrior Sheamus. Now, this match could main event pretty much any WWE pay-per-view. It is one of the best TV matches for WWE this year, and one of their best TV matches in quite a while. Match goes almost 23 minutes. Sheamus is about to finish off Drew with the bro kick, but as he goes for the bro kick, Drew counters, beats Sheamus to the punch, and hits the Claymore to pick up the win. If you haven't checked out this match, Raw was interesting. If you haven't seen this match, if you watch nothing else from Raw, spend 23 minutes and watch Drew McIntyre and Sheamus from this week's Raw. Absolutely amazing. Then this is where things kind of go downhill. So we get a 2-minute match. Nia Jax beats Naomi. Again, Naomi and Lana are still due a women's tag team championship match that they earned over a month ago, I believe. Now, Nia and Shayna will be defending those titles this Wednesday, or last night if you're listening to the audio version, on NXT against the winners of the Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So we'll see if they're tag champs come next week. Then we get a Braun promo. And well, what's the best way to say it? They should not give Braun Strowman such big words to say. Sorry about that. Braun, trying to think of the right way to word this without sounding mean. I like Braun Strowman. However, Braun Strowman's strength is not monologues. Braun Strowman, a man of his size, a man of his stature, a man built up the way they have built him up, should not be out there giving these long promos by himself. I think it was last week. He said he was clarified more than Bobby Lashley to face The Miz. And it's just one of those things that people don't talk like that, especially not a guy of Braun Strowman's size. If I was 6'8", solid muscle, and I was pissed off that I got looked over for a title shot, I would not be out there giving these long monologues. I would just get to the point, few words. So Braun cuts this promo. Shane McMahon comes out with Adam Pearce, not GM, Adam Pearce. And apparently Shane is going for an MBA. I don't know why he felt he needed to let us know about that, but, you know, it is what it is. And says that Braun would be in a tag match to help work on his problem-solving skills. And he would team up with not GM Adam Pearce. And their opponents were the tag team champions from Raw, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin of the Hurt Business. Now, once again, here we are with Braun Strowman single-handedly destroying tag teams on Raw. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. He just basically single-handedly buried the entire tag team division. He won the tag team titles at WrestleMania with the 10-year-old. And the tag team division, I mean, they weren't any much better off beforehand, but they were basically deemed null and void at that moment. And now, once again, here we are, March 2021. Braun Strowman single-handedly destroyed Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. He hits the running power slam on Shelton. And right as he's about to go make the pinfall, Shane McMahon jumps up on the ring apron and demands he tags in Adam Pearce. Let Adam Pearce get the pinfall. He tags in Adam Pearce, and Shelton Benjamin hits him with the most devastating move in all of professional wrestling. the surprise roll-up. Or I guess in this case, it was a small package. So you take your top tag team on Raw, and you have them get destroyed single-handedly by Braun Strowman. And I haven't been a fan of some of the stuff they were doing with the Hurt Business. I don't know why they felt the need to have the constant bickering between them, the teasing the breakup and the dissension between Shelton and Cedric. They finally started to get on the same page over the last few weeks, and then they get destroyed single-handedly by Braun Strowman. It's not a good look. It did no good for the tag team, for the entire tag team division. It didn't do anything for Braun Strowman. This is just a small step till we get to Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon in WrestleMania, because that's probably where they're going to go. That seems to be the direction they're going to go in. Braun's kind of an asshole. The Hurt Business are heels. Braun Strowman's kind of an asshole. I guess he's supposed to be a babyface. Shane McMahon, who knows what he is. And then Adam Pearce is just kind of there. Then we get Damien Priest taking on Elias. And for the way they've been trying to build Damien Priest, this match did him no favors. Again, I've talked about it, and I think there's a lot of people out there who are under the impression that it's going to be Damien Priest and Bad Bunny versus Miz and Morrison at WrestleMania. I imagine they'll probably pick that feud back up next week or right after Fastlane. But the Archer of Infamy has been highly taken care of in his short tenure on Monday Night Raw. And having a match that went over 15 minutes with Elias didn't do any favors for Damien Priest. He should have destroyed Damien Priest in about 4 minutes. Way too many rest holds and chin locks and sleepers or whatever else. The match had just a very slow pace. Damien Priest should be highlighted a lot more. Hey, DJ. No worries. Appreciate you joining, even though you're a little late. It's all good. Again, if you're listening to the audio version, join us live on YouTube every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we get to the top of the hour. It's Bobby Lashley and The Miz, round one. And I'll go into more detail about this when we get to the main event. So I'll just kind of breeze through this quickly. The match lasted 30 seconds. The Miz grabbed his belt and ran away from Bobby Lashley. So Lashley wins via countout, but does not win the WWE Championship. Then we get Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Baszler. Charlotte beats Shayna in under 3 minutes. And here's another big issue I have with the show. Shayna Baszler, a year ago, was the number one contender for the Raw Women's title going into WrestleMania. She single-handedly eliminated every woman in last year's Elimination Chamber match. She was in a high-profile match with Becky Lynch. And if you had told me a year ago that we would be seeing Charlotte Flair versus Shayna Baszler unannounced on Raw, and the match would go less than 3 minutes, I would call you insane. However, we did get Charlotte Flair beating Shayna Baszler in less than 3 minutes. DJ, you actually like Raw. I don't want to tell people they're wrong for liking what they want to like, but are you insane, man? I can't. There were a few good points about Raw. Very, very few, but for the most part, I just can't with what they were doing last night. The way they booked a lot of things. That's kind of what we're running down here. Then you get the Lucha House Party and Matt Riddle defeating Mace, Slapnuts, and Teabag in about 2 minutes. And then Matt Riddle defeats Mustafa Ali in about Mustafa Ali defeated Matt Riddle and a quick match afterwards after Ali gets help from Retribution. So you have your U.S. champion in a 6-man tag match with Retribution, and then losing to Mustafa Ali in 3 minutes due to outside interference. There's no reason for that. I just really like they did with the championship match. That is my highlight of the show, and that's what I'm getting to now as the main event. Anything involving Lashley and Miz last night was really, really good. Everything, and Sheamus and Drew was really, really good. Everything else was just really, really bad. So we get to the main event. Shane McMahon comes out and announces that this is going to be a lumberjack match. We get all the lumberjacks out. Miz tried to get himself disqualified, hitting Lashley with the belt. Toss Miz around, finally putting him in the hurt lock. Tapping the Miz out, in about 3 minutes, to become the brand new WWE Champion. Now, I've seen a lot of things online. I've been reading a lot of stuff. And I fully understand if people didn't like the bait and switch with Miz and Lashley throughout the night. They kind of did it last week with Miz accepting the challenge. They did it again tonight with the match itself. And I understand where people are coming from when they say it was kind of a bait and switch tactic. They get people to tune in at 9 o'clock for the match. Just 30-second count out. Then they announce it's going to be the main event. So I'm sure anybody that would have watched probably are thinking it's going to be another bait and switch. But we did get a lumberjack match. And to those people that don't like that, I fully understand why you did not like how that played out. However, I loved it. It has been such a long time since we've had a pure chicken shit heel. Now, you have your tough guy heels, you have your cerebral heels, you have your creepy, scary guy heels, but it's been a while since WWE has had a legit chicken shit heel like The Miz. DJ says, so Shane is just back on Raw now. Yes, I want to talk about that too. That's in my notes to talk about after this, because technically he got fired last year, the end of 2019. I don't even remember when it was in that match to Kevin Owens. But we'll touch on that here in a few minutes because that's in my notes. So we have the chicken shit heel Miz. You know, he made the deal with the devil, so to speak, with the MVP. You know, the devil always gets his due. But I mean, like I said, I understand why some people don't like the whole bait and switch thing. And I get that. WWE has a history of this whole bait and switch bullshit. But I think it played perfectly for the Miz, his character, and the role he is playing in the company right now. There were a lot of people that are really upset that the Miz was champion. I loved it. I didn't think it would be a long reign. I knew if anything, it would just be kind of a transitional reign. To either someone to lose to Drew at WrestleMania or for Miz to lose at Drew at WrestleMania, however that played out. But I'm going to throw another thing in here. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I just really enjoyed something different. We haven't seen these chicken shit heels basically doing anything they can to try to get out of defending the belt, trying to get out of anything that will put them in danger of losing a match. It was a breath of fresh air. The Miz wasn't going to be, you know, the longest reigning champion in history. He wasn't going to be main eventing WrestleMania as champion. You know, 10 years after his first title run, he gets a second one. It's kind of a transitional thing. They needed to get the Money in the Bank off of him. They needed to get the belt off of Drew, whether for him to win it back at WrestleMania or to set up another WrestleMania match, which I've also seen some people talking about this morning. And that is the long dreamed of fantasy match for Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. And that is none other than Brock Lesnar. That's right. Rumor and innuendo is running rampant that we may finally see that big dream match that Bobby Lashley himself has stated that he wants, and that was part of the reason he wanted to come back to WWE a few years ago. And that is the dream match, Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Will we get it at WrestleMania? Time will tell. I'm perfectly fine with Bobby versus Drew. DJ says that's going to be an awesome match. I totally agree. If we end up getting Bobby versus Drew, I would be super ecstatic about that match. Whether Lashley continues his reign or whether he's a second kind of transitional champion to give Drew a big beefy heel to beat again at WrestleMania, I'm good with that too, as long as they do something for Bobby down the line. Because Bobby Lashley and MVP and the Hurt Business in general have been the backbone of Raw for the last year. Besides Drew McIntyre. I mean, Drew McIntyre has carried Raw on his back for an entire year. Bobby Lashley, MVP, and the Hurt Business are right up there. Drew is 1A. The Hurt Business is like a 1B. DJ says Brock versus Bobby versus Drew. I'd be cool with the triple threat match too. That is 3 beefy boys in a 20x20 ring, and it would just be insane. I'm not a big fan of multi-man matches when it comes to title matches. I prefer one-on-ones, but I think with Drew versus Bobby versus a Brock Lesnar, I'd kind of be okay if they went that route. Now, if they do go with Drew versus, Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, the real question is, Brock Lesnar is not under WWE contract at the moment. His contract expired last year and has not re-signed. Now, with the global pandemic, Brock living on a farm up in Canada, it'll be interesting to see if the money is right and the conditions are right. Would Brock sign a new deal to come in for a match at WrestleMania? If the money's right, Brock Lesnar will be there. If he's able to travel to the States. Because Vince is going to throw millions of dollars at him. In the immortal words of the primetime players, of millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars. And Brock's a prize fighter. He's gonna take the money and he's gonna wrestle. But if they go that route, my guess would be for Drew McIntyre, if they don't make it a triple threat, is a match with Sheamus. Now I talked about it a few minutes ago. Drew versus Sheamus from Raw last night could main event any pay-per-view WWE would offer. That was a main event worthy match. And they delivered like it was a main event match, even though it was the opening match of a 3-hour Raw. So I guess the speculation begins. Will WWE try to get Brock in to face Bobby Lashley, or will they just go with Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre? That is the $1 million question. Multi-million dollar question, I would assume. But with that being said, the almighty era is upon us, which is the name of this week's podcast. And I'm excited to see what they do with Bobby Lashley. I saw a meme earlier today scrolling through Facebook. It was saying something along the lines of a year ago, in March of 2020, so 1 year ago, Bobby Lashley was in the Cuck storyline with Lana and Rusev. Cedric Alexander was having matches on Main Event, and Shelton Benjamin was jobbing on SmackDown. Here we are in March of 2021. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin are your Raw Tag Team Champions. And Bobby Lashley is your new WWE Champion. We'll get to Shane. And the other thing, too, is that MVP was brought back for the Royal Rumble last year and was only he was hired as a producer. So you had a guy in a cuck storyline, a guy doing main event matches, a guy jobbing, and a backstage producer. And now you have the hottest act in WWE today in March of 2021. And it's an absolutely amazing thing to see. So the last thing we're going to talk about, Shane O'Mac. Now let me get the date. I'm going to look this up real quick. Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens had a match. Was this Hell in a Cell, I believe? I think it was Hell in a Cell. So you're talking about October. Let's see. So they wrestled. Trying to get the timeline right here. Because they had the match at SummerSlam. So this is 2017. They had the Hell in a Cell in 2017. Was this the match? I'm trying to remember the match. But either way. Yeah, we'll delete that. Why is this still playing? I don't know why that. I closed the YouTube window and the ad's still playing in my ear. So hopefully you guys don't hear it. But, so yeah, Shane McMahon loses to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens fires Shane McMahon, which I don't know if he had the power to do, but the match stipulation said if, Kevin Owens wins, Shane was gone. Shane disappeared for a while. He shows up last year in this brand new weird thing they were doing, Raw Underground. No explanation as to why Shane is back. No explanation as to how he's still, a part of WWE. He's just back. And then after, I don't know how many months it was, just a few months, Shane McMahon and Raw Underground kind of get canceled. And then now all of a sudden, Shane shows up again. The first time we had seen him since Raw Underground folded. About 4 weeks ago, whatever it was, announcing the Elimination Chamber match. So Shane McMahon, who should be out of a job, kayfabe out of a job, I should say, returned for Raw Underground with no explanation why he was there, what the real purpose of Raw Underground was. And then now is kind of back as a pseudo authority figure on Raw. And no explanation as to why Shane is back or what he's doing. I mean, we know that why Shane is back because he's going to have that WrestleMania match with Braun Strowman. We know that's coming. It's pretty obvious. Now, whether they make it a handicap match with Adam Pearce or not, who knows. But definitely going to be Shane versus Braun. And I imagine that Shane, in typical Shane WrestleMania fashion, is going to get thrown off of or jump from something very, very high up. And we still have no explanation as to why Shane is back, what role he has with the company. I mean, his last name is McMahon. So I guess if your last name is McMahon, you can just kind of show up on TV whenever you want, do whatever you want, and there's no real repercussions. I guess you could kind of say that Shane McMahon is cucking, not GM Adam Pearce. If you want to go down that route, you can go down that route. I'm not saying you have to go down that route, but you can go down that route. Okay, I don't know what that is, but we're going to go and delete it. So we'll see if we ever get any explanation for why Shane is back. If you've got a theory, I'd love to hear it in the chat. But I don't think we'll ever get it. Kind of like we'll never know who threw the pie in Kevin Owens' face on SmackDown. We'll never know who raised the briefcase on Stone Cold Steve Austin and King of the Ring 98, 99, whatever year that was, in that match with Vince and Shane. We'll never know. And we'll never know who is Byron Saxton. If you watch Wrestle Talk TV, you'll get that reference. Let's see if there's anything else we want to talk about. Let me just scan down. I'm just looking at Bleacher Report. I'll pull them up real quick because sometimes I'll post some cool articles, some things to talk about. But I don't see anything on here worth talking about. Scroll back to the top, make sure I didn't miss anything. And we got the ratings drop. Let's look at this. Okay. This is posted to Bleacher Report. WrestleMania 37 rumors we hope come true. Talk about this real quick and then we'll end the show. Charlotte versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. I hope that does not come true. I'd like to see Charlotte beat Asuka, maybe a fast lane. And I've said it, I think, every week for the last couple weeks. The next night on Raw, Rhea Ripley comes out, challenges Charlotte Flair for WrestleMania, and they right the wrong of last year's WrestleMania and allow Rhea Ripley to get that win over Charlotte that she should have gotten last year. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems they are going for Charlotte versus Asuka yet again for the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania. Bad Bunny and Damien Priest against Miz and Morrison. Yeah, I fully expect that to happen. Let's see. Says here, Wrestling Observer is suggesting that WWE officials are building Cesaro as an opponent for Roman after WrestleMania 37. Yes. Anything to put Cesaro at the top of the card. I'd love to see Cesaro versus Roman one-on-one for the title. After their encounter last week on SmackDown, maybe we'll see Cesaro versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Give Cesaro the win. Build him up and kind of set him up as Roman's next challenger. I'd love to see it because I don't see Edge beating Roman Reigns. I really don't. Just being perfectly honest. I think it would be a great feel-good story, but I don't think that's the story that they want to tell with Roman right now. So that's all I've got, guys. AEW Revolution is this week. I forgot AEW Revolution was this Sunday. Let's look at that. I'll talk about this more in depth tomorrow on the Wednesday Night War preview. Let's see here. Let's look real quick at the card. I always forget when the AEW pay-per-views are, because actually, is it Sunday this time, or is it March 7th, which actually is a Sunday? They're actually doing a Sunday pay-per-view. Damn it. I like their Saturday pay-per-views. Because AEW will probably put on like a 5-hour pay-per-view, which means I'm not going to be able to watch the whole thing. But there are 8 matches announced for Revolution this Sunday, March 7th. You have the Street Fight. Team Taz, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks taking on the team of this man right here, Darby Allin, and the Icon, the man they call Sting. You have this AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida will defend against the winner of tomorrow night's finals in the Women's Eliminator Tournament. It's either going to be Nyla Rose or Ryu Mizunami. You have the tag team titles, the AEW World Tag Team title match. Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, taking on Chris Jericho and MJF from the Inner Circle. I expect that to be just a crazy match. You have Adam Page taking on Matt Hardy in a big money match where the winner receives the loser's 2021 first quarter earnings. So you got Hangman Adam Page versus big money Matt Hardy. Then you have the Face of the Revolution ladder match where their winner will get a future shot at TNT champion Darby Allin. You have Cody Rhodes, Scorpio Sky, Pentagon Jr., or Penta El Zero Miedo, as he's now being known as, Lance Archer, Preston Vance, -1's favorite wrestler, 10 from the Dark Order, Max Caster, and someone to be announced. And the rumor is that this to be announced member is a new signee to AEW. So it'll be interesting to see who that mystery person is. You also have Miro and Kip Sabian taking on Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. And you have the Casino Tag Team Royale for a future AEW World Tag Team Championship match. You have Bear Country taking on Alex Reynolds and John Silver from the Dark Order. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson from the Dark Order. Santana and Ortiz from the Inner Circle. The Butcher and the Blade. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn from Private Party. Darius Martin and Dante Martin, Top Flight, and a team to be announced. There's another rumor this could be another debuting team for AEW. So we could have two big surprises this Sunday at Revolution. Should be a really fun card. Again, we'll find out who Hikaru Shida is going to defend the Women's Championship against. If you're listening to the audio version, it took place last night. Nyla Rose taking on Rio Mizunami in the finals of the Women's Eliminator Tournament. So it should be fun. We'll talk about it a little more tomorrow for the AEW preview. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Wrestling with Fans podcast. Before we close the show, let me just remind you, Facebook.com/Wrestling with Fans. Hawk smash that like button to keep up to date with everything we do here on the podcast. Join us for the live streams every Tuesday right here on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search Wrestling with Fans podcast, click the blue logo, and then click that subscribe button. Click the bell icon to turn on notifications if you want to be notified anytime we go live or anytime a new video is posted. You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Wrestling with Fans. Follow us on Instagram at Wrestling with Fans. The website is WrestlingWithFans.com, your home of the Wrestling with Fans podcast on the internet. You can download or stream the show at any time on our website. New audio podcasts are posted every single Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Take us on the go and download us to your favorite podcast listening device. Just search Wrestling with Fans podcast. You can get us wherever you get your podcast fix. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, all the majors, and anywhere else you enjoy podcasts. And of course, make sure you join us 4 nights a week here on YouTube. Mondays at 7:30 for our Raw preview. Wednesdays at 7:30 for our Dynamite and NXT preview. And Fridays at 7:30 for our SmackDown preview. And of course, every single Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here live on YouTube, the live recording of the Wrestling with Fans podcast. Guys, that's all I've got. Again, we are at 41 subscribers on YouTube. The goal is 50 by the end of the month. 50 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you're listening to this show on audio version, you haven't done so already, go in the show notes, click the link to the YouTube channel, and click that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join us here on YouTube. Got some figure unboxings that are up. Hope you guys enjoyed the Darby Allin video. I don't know which one I have scheduled next. I've got so many that I've done lately. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen the pile of figure boxes. There's probably, 17 or 18 figure boxes stacked up there. So lots of content coming to YouTube. Filming some other stuff. So YouTube is the best place for the podcast right now. So hope you guys are enjoying us on YouTube. Shout out to my boy Chris for joining earlier. Shout out to DJ Plays for joining live for a while. Shout out to Jen. I know you were in the chat for a few minutes watching. But that's going to do it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Once again, my name is Kyle. I will see you here tomorrow night on YouTube. I will see you next time right here on Wrestling with Fans.